Hello and welcome to episode 50.
Holy moly, 50 episodes?
I know, of the Casual Tryhard podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
And I guess this is the holiday edition?
Yeah.
So we're going to go through some stuff today on communication.
A little bit of communication.
A little bit of finance, a little bit of Christmas money spending tips.
Yeah, I felt like there was enough to do a quick finance recap. I know we haven't talked about that in a little while, but that is something that I enjoy about this game also is the finance aspect, and there's a little bit going on that I wanted to touch on.
Yeah, so you can tweet at us at Casual Tripod. I'm still sending out deck lists when they show up and things like that. And again, Magic Twitter has been awful this week, so
you do such a great job about getting rid of all that bullshit, though. Yeah,
let me do the hard work for you.
Yeah. You can find us on Facebook at Casual Tryhard MTG, or you can email us at show@casualtryhardmtg.com.
And after you listen to the finance section, if you want to go to tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com, that's our link to get us a little bit of support if you buy cards from TCG.
Yep, that would be awesome, and we would certainly appreciate it. Our Q&A episode is next week, so if you got any last-minute questions you want answered, by all means, send them in.
Okay.
We have had quite a few questions sent over to us that people want answered, but we could always use some more. So
yeah, this next section is kind of a continuation of playing in paper.
Yep.
And it's kind of Magic shorthand, Magic lingo.
Yeah, it's all the stuff that somebody that didn't know anything about the game, if they walked up to a match and listened to two people converse about the game happening, this is all the stuff that would confuse them.
Yeah, and it's not game
terminology.
Text. Yeah, it's not like scry.
No, this is all stuff that like players have made up.
Yeah, as the game has gone on.
Yep.
We've done our best to kind of put together the main ones. We probably have forgotten something, but
if we did, you guys should let us know.
Yeah. So the first one we have here is from Alpha, and it's just bolt.
Yep. It's just dealing 3 damage to something. I'm going to bolt your bird. I'm going to bolt your elf. I'm going to bolt you.
Yeah, and it's not that you are actually
casting lightning bolt.
Right. It's any kind of 3 damage spell.
Yep. So like lightning strike, I still say, I'll bolt that.
Yeah.
If you're plussing Ugin, that's basically a bolt. I call that a bolt also.
Yeah. This kind of leads into the other one. If you fetch shock, sometimes someone will say, well, I'll just bolt myself.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, because you end up dealing yourself 3 damage, 1 from the fetch and 2 from the shock land coming in untapped.
Yep, so that's the next one is shock. Comes from the card shock, kind of like lightning bolt, except only 2 damage. From Onslaught, I think, was the first printing.
Or was it Tempest or Stronghold?
Oh, maybe.
Isn't Onslaught is the goblin that gets, or the
Atog.
The Atog that gets roasted. There's one before it. It's the guy that's like falling backwards.
Oh, yeah.
With the lightning around him. That's like Stronghold or Tempest, somewhere around in there.
All right.
We're old.
We are old. So yeah, shock lands also. They're got their name shock lands because they deal 2 damage to you if you want them untapped. Shocking.
Yes. The next one is Dork.
Yep.
So usually in the parlance of like mana dork.
Right.
And that's just any kind of like, it used to just be a 1 mana creature that would then tap for mana was a mana dork.
Yeah, it's kind of expanded lately though because we, up until recently, haven't had 1 mana dorks. They've all been 2 mana.
We had a 5-year break on the 1 mana dork.
Yeah, in which case 2 mana dorks were also dorks. Like Leafkin Druid or Paradise Druid.
Or the 1/3 for 1 green, I forget what it's called.
Yep.
Yeah. So if someone's like, play my dork.
Yep, or kill your dork.
Yeah, they're just they're dealing with a mana creature.
Yep. The next one is Wrath, from Wrath of God all the way back from Alpha. Refers to destroying all creatures. Technically, I guess it could be any type of permanent, but mainly all creatures.
So if someone's like, I'll cast a Wrath.
Right.
You're killing everything. Or they'll say, like, Wrath your board.
Right.
That's their control player, and they either have no creatures or they have, like, some sort of one-sided effect.
Yeah.
And, like, Wrath will get used if they're just killing all the creatures, even if it's not, like, Wrath that they cast, like, Cry the Carnarium.
Right.
And they kill everything. They'll be like, okay, Wrath the board.
Yep.
And then start over.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, yeah.
The next one is Mill. comes from Antiquities, I think, was Millstone.
Yeah, clearly you didn't listen to the most recent Limited Resources where they did
I did not.
Arabian Nights Antiquities set review.
Oh, yeah?
With LSV and the Ben Sec.
That sounds fantastic. How did I miss that?
They also did one like 2 years ago for Alpha.
Did they?
They did a full Alpha set review. And this was
must be a slow time of year for content.
Yes, and this was the full Antiquities Arabian Nights.
I'll have to go check that out.
Something I didn't know is that Antiquities, every card in the set was either an artifact or had the word artifact in it.
Every card, really?
Every card. It was like an 80 card set. 40 of them were artifacts.
Yeah.
The other 40
referenced artifacts in some way.
Yeah, like there was like maybe 6 to 7 cards of each color that weren't artifacts, and like red had 3 ways to destroy artifacts and 4 ways to sacrifice them.
Oh,
and those were all the red cards.
Wow,
that was it. Millstone.
Yeah, Millstone is the card.
Comes from Antiquities,
and it what Millstone did was it took 2 cards from the top of a library and put them in that player's graveyard.
And it was the first instance of a card that tried to use the decking rule. If you have no cards in your deck and you draw a card, you lose the game.
Yep.
Oh, and I just used another one, decking.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to that one in a second. It was the first instance of a card that basically attacked your library.
Right.
To try to have you lose the game that way.
Yep.
So this is any effect that puts cards directly from your library into your graveyard is a mill effect.
Right.
So it's like, I'll mill you for 4. So when they cast the, what is it, Merfolk
Safekeeper?
Yeah, I forget what the sorcery side is. Like,
I don't know.
Digging deeper or something deeper. When they say like mill you for, when they cast that and mill you for 4.
That's where it came from.
Yeah, they're taking the 4 cards off the top of your library, putting them in your graveyard. So then decking is when you lose the game because
you have to draw a card from an empty library.
Yes. So it's like, I got decked out, which means I just ran out of cards in my library and things like that. So anytime someone says I got decked or, he's trying to deck you, they're trying to run you out of cards in your library.
Yeah. It typically has like a negative connotation. It's not a super fun way to lose, if that, means anything.
It's not a super fun way to lose. And typically the strategy is bad.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it's like viable in Throne of Eldraine pre-bot balanced arena draft.
Yeah.
That was rare. They usually will put
some sort of mill effect.
3-ish like borderline build around mill cards in a limited format, and
it's never great, though.
Never good.
Yeah.
The fact that, you could get, like, even in a paper draft, I got milled out recently in this format where you could get, like, 3 Merfolk Secret Keepers and then run away together to keep casting them. Like, that's super rare. So usually part of the reason it's, like, a negative connotation is new players really love trying to, like, mill people.
Casual players also, doesn't have to be just new, but less competitive players.
They really
love to mill people.
And so it's like, and it's not a very good thing, and that's usually part of the reason it feels bad to lose to it, is you're like, I know this isn't good.
Right. So the next thing is something that we've talked about a whole bunch, especially coming up in this time of year when we're going to be doing card valuations soon, and that's Bear.
Okay.
Bear is, again, from Alpha. The card was Grizzly Bears, and it was a 2-mana 2/2.
Simple.
Yep, that's it. 2-mana 2/2.
So Bear has been extended to any 2-mana 2/2. There is a subclass of Bear that is the Hate Bear.
Yeah.
So Hate Bears are bears that have some taxing ability stapled onto them.
Yep.
Like Leonin Arbiter is like the quintessential Hate Bear. It says if you want to search, is a 1 and a white 2/2. If you want to search your library, if anyone wants to search, they have to pay 1.
Yep.
So it has like a tax or a way to like gums up the game.
Yep.
Stapled onto the bear.
Yep. I mean, Thalia's kind of a bear too, even though she's not a 2/2.
Yeah, so I was gonna
it's
say,
still
like,
a bear.
There's also like the hate bear family is not limited to 2/2s.
Right. They're just cheap creatures that have some sort of tax
usually
effect.
Usually 2-mana creatures that have some sort of taxing effect go into the hate bear camp. So Thalia is a 2/1 with first strike. She's honorarily the queen of the bears.
Right.
Of the hate bears. But Ayula is actually the queen of the bears. But Thalia is the queen of the hate bears.
And then, like, Wizards also kind of plays around with this stuff a little bit. In the mystery booster drafts that we did, one of the playtest cards was Bear with Set Mechanic. That was the name of the card.
Yeah, which is something that, like,
they do all the time.
Yeah, they will just have a 2-mana 2/2 that has whatever mechanic.
Yep.
Or, like, the Invoker cycles that come up every so often. They're, like...
Bear with upside.
A bear with, like, usually some, like, big mana upside.
Yep.
So we have this a Squire.
Yeah.
Oh, it auto corrected to
a fraction.
To a fraction, so I was super confused. I was like, what?
Yep. The card Squire is where it came from. That one I don't know the set.
I think it might be alpha. It's
early. It wasn't alpha.
It's a 1 and a white for a 1/2.
Yep. A 1/2. It had to be like Tempest or one of those.
Yeah, Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah.
If you don't have an equipment to search for,
it's just a Squire.
It's just a Squire.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't know if this is good enough when it's just a Squire. Mm-hmm. Or if they, like, blow up your equipment, you just play the Squire or something.
Yep. And again, you'll hear people, like you just said, it's just a Squire or whatever. You'll hear people using some of this terminology while doing card valuations, which is kind of why it's nice to talk about it right now, because in a couple weeks, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of card valuations.
Oh, here's another one that's not on the list. Raging Goblin.
Yep.
Oh, it's just a Raging Goblin.
Yep.
It's just a 1-mana, 1/1 haste.
Yep.
And
sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not.
And then Goblin Piker.
Yep.
Is
it's the 2/1 first strike for 2.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're like, it's just a Goblin Piker.
Yep.
It's like, yeah. Forgot all these Grey Ogre.
Oh yeah, Grey Ogre is a 2/2 for 3 mana.
And then Hill Giant.
And Hill Giant is a 3/3 for 4 mana.
Yeah, these cards are all from Alpha. And
most of them are, yeah.
If you are hearing these mana costs and going like, man, these are trash compared to like what we normally get now.
Yeah, creatures were bad.
Creatures were awful.
Yeah.
Like there were like 6 creatures that are like uncommon power level now that like still see play, like Sarah Angel.
Yeah.
A 5-mana 4/4 Vigilance. Like that still gets printed from time to time.
Yeah.
That was like the pinnacle, one of the pinnacles of like early Magic creatures.
So if you go back to when I used to play Magic when I was in high school, like up until Mirage Visions era, we were not allowed to have a 4-mana 4/4 without it having a downside.
Yes.
So think like Jazam Jin.
4-mana 5/5
is a 4-mana 5/5 that damages you every turn. That was the best creature in the entire game.
Yes.
Urham Jin was a 4-mana 4/5 that made your opponent's creatures unblockable every turn.
Gave one
Forest
creature
Walk.
Forest Walk.
Yeah. And now we have Shifting Ceratops.
Yeah.
4-mana 5/4 with all upside.
Or
Questing Beast.
4-mana
4/4 with wall of text that's all great.
Nightpack Ambusher.
Yeah. 4-mana 3/3 that kills something.
It's a 4-mana 4/4.
Oh, Nightpack. Yeah, I was thinking Wicked Wolf. Yeah.
It's 4-mana 4/4.
Yeah.
Or Wicked Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, things have come a long way. So when
long way.
So when someone says like, oh, it's just a Grey Ogre, that's not like high praise.
Right. No, that's bad.
That is like, oh, that's bad. It's like, that's just a Grey Ogre.
Yep.
All right, so Ping.
Mm-hmm. Ping, I don't really think it comes from anywhere necessarily, although it is tangentially related to another one that's not on the list.
Tim,
yeah. So Ping is an ability that deals 1 damage to something. So like...
Renin 6.
Renin 6, yep.
Neg 1, pings a creature, or pings a player.
Any target.
Yep, ping something.
Yep. Fanatical Firebrand.
Yes.
Sacrifice it to deal 1 damage to any target. Those are things that ping.
Yes.
And they come from Tim. Tim was a card from Alpha Prodigal Sorcerer.
Yes.
Which was a 3-mana 1/1 that tapped to do 1 damage to any target.
What color was it?
It was blue.
Yeah. So blue used to have like direct damage.
Yep. Psionic Blast.
Psionic Blast, which was 3 and a white, or sorry, 3 and a blue. Deal 4 to any target. You take 2.
Yep.
It got color shifted to Char.
Right. Tim also got color shifted to Prodigal Pyromancer and one of those time sets.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so the color pie as we know it now, where you're like, well, blue would never get like direct damage, wasn't as like well thought out 25 years ago.
Do you know what Tim was a reference to?
I do not.
Oh, man. Here we go. I'm showing my age now. So Tim is from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I was going to guess that.
Yeah, it was the wizard.
Okay.
Some call me Tim.
See, I never knew that. There we go.
There you go.
So, yeah, there we go. So there's Ping, and then we have Wheel, which comes from Wheel of Fortune.
Yep.
Which is 2 and a red, sorcery. Everyone discards their hand and draws 7 cards.
Yep.
So Wheel is just shorthand for any effect that has you draw 7 cards.
Well, not necessarily that. Like, Wheel is more about discarding your hand and then drawing. Typically, like, recently, cards that have been printed with this effect aren't draw 7. They're going to be discard your hand and draw that many cards, or discard your hand and draw a number of cards equal to, like, the most cards discarded this way or something like that.
Yeah, I guess the Heartfelt Reunion was, like, discard your hand, draw that many cards plus 1 to make up for having to play Heartfelt Reunion.
Yeah. Sometimes, like, Chandra's first neg ability will be something along this effect.
Yeah. When you watch cube players, if you watch like a cube draft, if people are like drafting Storm, they're like, oh, I have to get the draw 7s.
Yeah.
Which any of the like wheel effects that draw you 7 to Wheel of Fortune.
Yep. Time Twister, Time
Spiral all fall into that same kind of category. Speaking of drawing stuff, we have Loot.
Yep. One of your favorite effects.
Yes. So looting is when you draw and then discard.
In that order.
That comes from, I do believe, Merfolk Looter.
Okay.
Was like, I think, one of the first cards to do it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether it was Merfolk Looter or Faithless Looting.
Oh, Merfolk Looter was first.
Was it first?
Yeah. It was
Zendikar, right?
Maybe before that, because Zendikar's loot guy was the one that...
I thought it was Merfolk Looter.
No, because it was the Cryptologist, the had levels where you level 1 it looted, level 2 it did something else, and then like the last level you just drew a card.
Oh, okay.
But I think Merfolk Looter is from like Tempest or something.
Oh, wow. Okay. Way older than I thought.
Let me find where my fingers go on the keyboard.
All right. While you're looking that up, I'll do the next one. The next one is Rummage, and it is the opposite of Loot. It's discarding first, then drawing. And I don't think that Rummage actually came from a card.
Well, we have Rummaging Goblin now.
Oh yeah, now we do. But people were using this before we had Rummaging Goblin.
So a quick search finds Merfolk Looter was in Exodus.
Oh wow, okay.
So Tempest block.
Yep, way back when.
So yeah, so then Faithless Looting.
Yep.
Got its name because you drew 2, discarded 2. Mm-hmm. So you were looting. Yeah.
Faithlessly.
Yeah, so Rummage, the opposite. So a lot of Chandras will rummage.
Rummage is a red thing. Loot's typically a blue thing.
Yeah, I guess Nahiri.
Yep.
Like old Nahiri.
Yep.
Is a rummage effect.
Yep.
If it has you, let's say, exile the card from your hand and then draw, it's still technically rummaging.
Yeah.
The difference is right, you have to discard before you have the information on what you're going to draw.
Right.
Whereas looting is typically better because you have more information.
Right.
Because you've seen what you've drawn, and if you don't need the card you drew, you can just discard it. Mm-hmm. Where when you rummage,
you're kind of taking a chance.
Yeah, you're taking more of a chance because like if you had to discard a C in hopes of drawing an A and you drew a D when you rummage, now you're in a worse off spot.
Whoops.
Where if looting, if you draw your D, you discard it and you leave the C in your hand.
Yep.
Bounce?
Mm-hmm. It's just return something to hand.
Yes.
It could be anything.
Yeah, so it's just you bounce a creature. So Teferi will play little Teferi and go like, we'll bounce that.
Yep.
So just return it to your hand.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's from an actual card.
Neither do I. The only thing I know of that has bounce on it is Merfolk Bouncer.
Okay.
Or no, Waterfront Bouncer.
Okay.
It's one of the ones with the untap symbol.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, we were using bounce when I was a kid, and the only thing that bounced at that time was boomerang.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not bounce.
Boomerangs do not bounce.
Yeah, no.
Crack.
Yep. And that's anything with like self-sacrifice, right? Typically, the most common use of this is for fetch lands that go to get another land. You'll say, crack my fetch land.
Here's another thing that gets cracked. It's the next thing. Egg.
It's the next thing, yeah.
Egg. So eggs are an artifact that will sacrifice and draw a card.
Yep.
Usually, like golden egg, now it like draws the card on the front end.
Right.
And then will sacrifice for some ability. The old eggs, chromatic star, chromatic sphere, you didn't get the card on the front end. You got the card when you sacrificed it.
Yep. Speaking of drawing cards, the next thing is cantrip.
Yeah, you had to explain to me where cantrip came from.
I did, yeah. This is basically any cheap spell that draws a card. So brainstorm, ponder, opt, serum visions, they're all cantrips. They just do a small effect and then draw a card.
Yeah.
And this is a D&D reference. One of the like really low-level spells that wizards learn in D&D is a cantrip, and it's just a spell with a small effect.
So then there's blink.
Yep. So what's blink do?
You will exile something and then return it to play.
And it could be either immediately or at the end of turn.
Yes.
It's templated both ways.
Yeah. So I think the end of turn one might sometimes be called like flicker.
Okay, yeah.
Because of Flicker Wisp.
Yep, could be.
But, so there's, I guess
I think they're pretty interchangeable, though.
Yeah, they are. There's momentary blink might be where it kind of come from, or at least, like, people called it blink, and then they made momentary blink as a reference to it.
Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah.
Chicken or the egg.
Yeah. And then, like, Flicker is in Flicker Wisp is a creature that exiles a permanent, and then it returns it at the end of the next end step.
Yep. The next thing we have is chump, almost always referred to as a chump blocker. Mm-hmm. It's just blocking with an insignificant creature to kind of fend off an attack.
Yeah, basically you are just putting the creature in the way so it dies so you don't take damage.
Yep. I typically say under the bus. I'll throw this guy under the bus.
Yes.
It's the same thing. He's a chump blocker.
Yeah, so...
something you don't expect to survive.
Yeah. Strategy time.
Yeah.
Strategy corner. Typically, like, newer players are more hesitant to take damage early in the game.
Yeah.
So they will more aggressively chump block.
Yep.
Right? Like, if you're getting attacked with a 4/4 and you only have a 3/3 and you're at 20, just take 4.
Yeah. You got 4 turns to worry about that 4/4.
You're at, right? You could draw a removal spell or a pump spell, right? But if you chump block with your 3/3 and then you draw your giant growth...
yeah.
Now you can't try to profitably, like, kill.
Yeah, you wish you had your 3/3 back.
Right, so early in the game, it's usually not best to chump block.
Yeah, or even if you don't draw a pump spell and you draw a kill spell.
Yeah,
you've just 2-for-1'd yourself. Like, your creature's gone and you had to use your removal spell on it.
And you just saved yourself 4 life.
Yeah.
Which isn't a huge deal.
Well, it's not worth a card.
Yeah. They've really yet to print the just... gain a life card that is worth a card. Maybe the is it Feed the Clan? Like if you have Ferocious, you gain 8.
Yeah, that was close.
Yeah. 1 mana gain 8 for a card is maybe good enough. Next up is Mana Sink. It's a place for all your mana to go.
Yep.
Down the drain.
Not necessarily. Actually, it's the opposite of that. It's a place for your mana to go so it doesn't go down the drain.
Yeah.
Refers to sinking your mana into something. Instead of wasting it.
So it's like I said, the Invoker cycles are usually creatures that are cheap early on.
Yep, and then have like an 8 mana activated ability.
Yeah, there's one in Theros. It's blue. It's like a 1 mana 1/2, and you like pay 7 in a blue, tap, sacrifice it, draw 3 cards or draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
Right. So you can play it early on, and then late in the game, when you have a bunch of lands, you can spend all your mana to make that to get something out of that card that would otherwise not be any good.
Yeah, there was one in Battle for Zendikar, I think, that was like a 2-mana 2/2, and you could pay 7 and a green to give it +7/+7 till end of turn.
And there was also the red one, dealt 3 or dealt 2 to any target.
I think it was 3.
For the same, it was like 8 mana.
Yeah.
So they're usually just these cheap, semi-insignificant creatures, or there's also like enchantments that'll do the same thing.
Yeah, it doesn't. Mana sinks can be more broad than that too, though. Like, it doesn't have to be just a giant activated ability. Like a Hydroid Crisis is a mana sink.
Yeah.
Or Majoring Network, like if you were playing during Origins, was a land that you could put charge counters on to basically save your mana for later.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good mana sink. It's just something for you to do with extra mana. When you're
Morph.
Yeah, Morph is a good mana sink. Especially in Limited, when you're playing a game, a term that you'll hear tossed around is mana advantage, or somebody that's making better use of their mana.
Using all of your mana.
Yeah, using all of your mana is, like
or
you
mana
said, the
efficient.
big thing. Mm-hmm. And just having a place to put, if you have a 4-drop and you have 8 lands in play, just having something to do with that extra 4 mana, it doesn't even matter how small it is. As long as you're using it, typically you're going to come out better than if you didn't. So, like I said, a mana battery, that's another terminology, mana battery. But Majoring Network is a good place to put some of that.
Yeah, so basically the idea is that your mana spoils.
Mm-hmm.
You get to use it for that one turn cycle.
Right.
And if you don't, you never get access to that mana again.
Correct.
So if a mana sink allows you to do anything with that mana other than not use it,
right,
you might be able to turn that into
some sort of advantage at some point.
Yes. So let it save it up for a rainy day or a rainy turn, or just using it to get like just the smallest little amount of advantage. Even something that's, if you had a bear that had 1 and a white gain a life.
Yep.
Right? Well, you would much rather gain that 1 life and then not use your 2 mana.
Yeah.
So even if it's something small that's not really that impactful, it's better than getting nothing.
Exactly.
I guess these two go together.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Well, there's crackback, but there's also like alpha.
Yeah.
So an alpha strike is when you just take all your creatures, turn them sideways, and attack. And perhaps you say...
Math is for blockers.
That's right. I'm just attacking with everything, and you work it out and figure out if you die, because I don't want to deal with it. I'm just attacking with everything. Or you're attacking with everything, and you're like, you are dead now.
Right.
Here's how you should block, and you die.
Yeah.
Right, so that's when you alpha strike.
Yep.
When you just swing with everything.
Yep. And then after you alpha strike, if you don't kill them, you typically die on the crackback.
Which is when they just attack with everything at you.
Right.
Right? So there's... Pleasant Kenobi has the term flunge.
Okay, I haven't heard this one.
Where you're just like, I'm just going to attack with everything because I think I'm dead, and I'm just going to see if I'm not. Like... I know if you get to attack, I die. So I'm just going to flunge. I'm just going to throw all my creatures at you.
All right.
And then we'll see if you die.
Yeah.
And if not, I die.
I hadn't heard that one before. That's a good one.
Yeah, where you're just like, it's like a desperation attack. Just, whoop. So they, I'm going to alpha here.
Yeah.
Or, they alphaed, is you've just attacked with everything.
Yeah. Especially like in limited games, I have certainly reached the point in multiple games where the game's not going particularly well for me and I can feel the window closing. Mm-hmm. So if there is any sort of board stall, a lot of times I'll just flunge, I guess, and just see what happens.
And like also sometimes it'll like clean up the battlefield where they have to like make trades.
Yeah.
And you can make things a little simpler. Mm-hmm. I guess another thing about attacking that is definitely... terminology they use on coverage is getting into the red zone.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Do you know where this came from?
I do.
Okay.
So this is just attacking with a creature. So such and such is going to get into the red zone. It's going to attack.
Yep.
And that's because the playmats they used in paper coverage for the longest time had a red stripe down the middle to separate the two halves of the battlefield.
Yeah.
So... when people attack, they move their creatures forward and tap them, and they would just put them in the red stripe.
Right.
So they were in the red zone. So if they say, like, I'm going to get into the red zone with this, or you hear, like, coverage, is he going to get into the red zone with his such and such this turn? Is he going to attack with this creature?
Man, I wasn't sure you were going to get that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Magic trivia, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, getting into the red zone.
So the next one, keeping on theme with attacking, is pump.
Yes.
And that's anything to make a creature bigger. So giant growth, larger than life, whatever.
Knight of the Ebon Legion.
Yep, Knight of the Ebon Legion, self-pumps.
Yeah, no, that was Knight of the Ebon Hand is the pump Knight cycle from like
Fallen Empires.
Fallen Empires.
Yeah.
Is like where like that like pump Knights was something that was like a long time ago. So pump has been like in the vernacular for
giant growth was alpha.
Yeah. For like a long time.
Yep. And actually giant growth didn't see a ton of play. It was Howl from Beyond.
A black and X.
Yep.
Pay X, a creature gets +X+X.
Yep.
Or
plus X plus O.
0.
Yep.
And then when I was like not really playing, I still bought cards every so often. Hatred.
Okay.
3 black.
Yep.
Pay X life. Target creature gets +X+O.
Woo. Channel and Howl from Beyond.
Yeah.
Had a baby.
Good times.
It's hatred.
Yeah. Another attack one is swing.
Yep.
I'm going to swing out. Mm-hmm. It's just I'm going to attack.
Yep.
Like swing out is I'm going to attack with everything, or I'm going to swing with my bear.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to attack you. So anytime someone says swing,
yep, it's just attack.
You just attack.
Yeah, I don't know where that one started either.
Neither do I. I mean, it makes sense. Like you take a swing at someone, like you try to punch them.
Yeah, I mean, it could also be like when you tap the cards, they
swing a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
The next one is tuck. And this is anything that puts a card back into the library. So, like Big Teferi
would tuck
something.
Sometimes he would tuck himself. Go tuck yourself, Teferi.
Yeah, Teferi was great about tucking himself. I'm not quite sure where this one came from. I know for a long time it had more widespread use in Commander.
Yeah, because you would try to like put their commander into their deck.
Yeah. Yep, and they referred to that as tucking. That was the old rule. It's not the rule anymore.
Yeah, they got rid of that.
Yep.
I want to play with my commander. I don't have to fight it in my 100 cards.
That's right.
It's worth always be there for me.
The next one we have is ramp, and that's basically any way to get ahead on mana. So whether it's a mana dork or a spell that goes and gets more lands, those are things that ramp you.
Where does ramp come from?
That would be rampant growth,
which was one in the green. Search your library for a land, put it on the battlefield tapped.
Yep,
that's too good for us now.
That is too good for us now.
We can have 4-mana 4/4s with walls of text. That's fine.
Yeah,
but getting to that 4-mana 4/4 a turn early with a 2-mana spell,
no bueno.
No bueno. Too much.
Another one that you don't really hear too much in competitive Magic, but you will hear a lot in EDH that kind of goes along with this, is a rock.
Oh, yeah, like a mana rock.
A mana rock, yeah. And that refers to any type of artifact that produces mana.
Yes. Mana rocks are also really big in the Vintage Cube.
Okay.
So you take mana rocks really highly.
Yep. Do you know where that one comes from?
Felwar Stone?
It does, yeah.
So Felwar Stone, gosh, I don't know the text on Felwar Stone.
It's a 2-mana artifact, and you can tap it for a mana of any color that a land your opponent's control can produce.
And that's from like...
The Dark.
The Dark, okay.
Yep.
So the mana rocks did an interesting thing. We started out with like the Moxen and Soul Ring.
Yeah.
And then like a year later, they were like 3 mana. You can't choose what color mana it produces. It has to produce something your opponent has.
It was 2 mana.
2 mana, but so like I can't. And now 2 mana rocks are too good for Modern Magic.
Yeah, they like come into play tapped and have a downside if they exist at all.
The last 2 mana rock I remember was from like Shadow's Block.
Well, there's one in Standard right now.
There is?
Yeah, Arcane Signet.
Oh, that doesn't count. You cannot make. That's a Commander mana rock. Right? Those
sure,
are
but it's
fine.
Standard legal.
Sure. How much mana can it produce in Standard?
Well, none.
None. There was, what was it? It was like 2 mana, and it could only make mana of a color of a permanent that was in your graveyard.
Is it Silent Gravestone?
No, Silent Gravestone is the exile guy from
Cryptolith Fragment?
Maybe.
It was the one that transformed, right?
No, I don't think it did. No. No, but there was that one was like 2 mana, and you had to jump through a bunch of hoops, and it was like unplayable.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're playing historic, the mana rock of choice is Mind Stone, which is 2 mana, tap to add 1 colorless mana.
Yep.
And then
you can second draw a card.
1 mana tap.
1 mana tap sack.
But yeah, so if you hear mana rock, I guess like the mana rocks that we see now are almost always 3 mana, like Mana Geode.
Yeah.
From War or Spinning Wheel, which Spinning Wheel is normal. They usually will like stick some sort of effect on the mana rock to make it for the fact that it's 3 mana.
Yeah, like we had, was it Hedron something?
Hedron Archive.
Yeah, that was a good one where it was 4 mana made 2.
Yep.
And then you could sack it and draw 2 cards.
Yes. Oh, the kind of mana that mana rock made was Wingding.
Wingding, sure.
So Wingding, if you don't know, is with the Zendikar, or the most recent Zendikar block, they introduced the
specifically colorless mana symbol.
And so that was like, I forget the name of it. I know the name of the symbol, but I forget what it's called.
I did not know the name of the symbol.
The Pittsburgh Steelers helmet logo is the same symbol.
Oh.
It's the shape that you get if you put 4 circles side by side.
Oh, and it's left over.
Shape, that is the shape of the Wingding in the thing. I forget what it's called, but that symbol was just colloquially called Wingding.
Yeah.
So Hedron Archive made Wingding, made 2 Wingdings.
So why was it called Wingding?
Because that's like the weird symbol font in Word.
Yep,
is
the name of the font that's all symbols.
Yes. And then we have Spin, as in spin the wheel.
Yep.
And this is any, I guess, Pokemon-esque effect where you do something randomly.
Yeah, usually it has to do with the top of your deck, where you're going to reveal the top card or reveal the top number of cards or look at the top whatever number of cards and then pick one and do something with it.
Yeah, so where this was used the most was there was like kind of 2 back-to-back standards. You had Collected Company.
Yep.
Where you'd spin the wheel, you're going to look at the top 6 you don't know you're going to get. You're going to hope that you get 2 3-mana creatures.
Right. You're going to hope you're going to get a spell queller in response to their spell to counter
you're just going to spin the wheel and see what happens.
Yep.
Right, kind of like roulette. Like, I don't know, it's just random chance. I hit the table. Just random chance. And then you had Aetherworks Marvel.
Yeah, that was the big one.
Which, ideally, you made the noise when you spun the wheel. But you would, like, pay your 6 energy and be like, come on, Daddy needs an Embergold or an Ulamog.
I never really thought of this as roulette. I always thought it of as Price is Right.
Oh, okay.
When you're, for your showcase, win your showcase
to get
spot.
the showcase show done.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah. And then our European listeners are like, what the hell's the Price is Right?
It's a show with Bob Barker.
Now Drew Carey.
Not Drew Carey. Bob Barker.
Bob Barker.
Nothing against Drew Carey. I like Drew Carey, but
Bob Barker.
Bob Barker.
Have your pet spayed or neutered.
That's right.
I guess now the big one is Urza.
Yeah.
Where you just pay 5 mana, shuffle your deck, and get to cast the top card.
Yep. We have
play the top card.
Golos too.
Yeah. But you're just like spinning to see what you get. It's just all like random chance.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. Spin the wheel has some aspect of randomness in it.
Yeah, you just don't know what you're going to get. You can't really like set it up. It's just like, well, I hope this works out.
Yep. So I think that's all of our shorthand talk. Was there any that you thought we missed?
I think I like said all the ones that popped into my head as we were doing it.
Yeah.
So this is another thing that is a little intimidating when you like walk into your first paper match.
Yeah, especially if you're new to the game, have only played with some recent sets, you have no idea what lightning bolt is.
Like bolt that is, and
right.
You're like, so what are we doing again?
Yeah.
It'll help close that communication gap. And even if you're not comfortable using the lingo initially,
yeah, at least you kind of know what's talking
going
about.
On. So, right, if you're like me and you play Arena in silence, like it'll be the first time you've heard anything about the game.
Yeah.
So I was playing with a noted listener and former teammate Anthony and we were on Discord.
Yeah.
And like he was making comments about the different noises my cards made. He's like, that's really weird that they made that like the noise for Love Struck Beast. I'm like, oh, it makes a noise. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, I've never heard any of these cards make any noises.
Yeah.
And he was like, you just play in silence. He's like, well, because of that, he just conceded. I was like, okay. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what the noises these cards make.
I also play with Arena muted. I don't listen to Arena whatsoever.
Yeah, so we had promised that if we played against someone from our friends list, we would unmute the emotes. So I did, just so I could Yorgo Anthony a few times. And I forgot to mute it again.
Yeah.
It took like 4 matches the next day for me to go back and mute them. I was just sitting there and someone just started spamming your go, and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm off this now.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. I like to pretend that you guys can't interact with me, you mean people out there.
Yeah.
So mean people in the world, you can't get at me.
Speaking of mean people in the world, I wanted to take a quick minute here to talk about Magic Finance.
The Finance Minute.
Yeah. This time of year is kind of important for Magic Finance. There's a couple different things that happen, and I thought it was prudent that I let you guys know like what's happening.
Okay.
Typically, January is the best time of the year to get rid of cards that are going to rotate in September. You're going to get the most money for them, and typically they start to see less play from this point going forward because you'll have more sets, more powerful cards, different themes, more support for newer stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to look at your collection and kind of determine what decks you may or may not want to be playing going forward and kind of clean out your binders a little bit. Real quick this morning, I went through and picked out some of the more valuable cards that are probably going to start seeing less play and may not see much play after rotation. So we've got Vraska Golgari Queen. Does see a little bit of play in Modern, does see a little bit of play in Pioneer, but most of her value, I believe, is from Standard. She's $16 right now, and I don't think she'll hold that through September.
No.
Hydroid Crisis right now is $20. Most of its play is in Standard. Does see some Commander play, does see a little bit of Modern play, does see some Pioneer play, but that's probably not going to be $20 a year or more from now.
Yeah.
Spawn of Mayhem is $7, sees only Standard play. Liliana Dreadhorde General is $16, sees almost exclusively Standard play. Nissa is $6. There are a million Nissas out there, and she does see a little bit of play in Modern and Pioneer, but most of her play is in Standard. The 4-mana Vivian from M20, Arcbow Ranger. She's $16 and does see a touch of Pioneer play, but is mainly just Standard play. Chandra Awakened Inferno.
Yes.
Sees only Standard play. It's $13. And the Cavaliers from M20 are between like $5 and $8 a piece, and they're pretty much exclusively Standard only cards.
Yeah, it's gonna be harder, at least for the next 6 to 9 months. Let's say till rotation.
Yeah.
To know what Pioneer looks like, to know what cards are going to be viable in Pioneer.
Right.
Right. So before I would get rid of cards and I would keep cards in my collection that I thought could see Modern play at some point.
Yeah.
Or like I secretly wanted to see Modern play.
Right.
Right. But with Pioneer, since they might ban like Forest in January, you have no idea what is going to be like viable in Pioneer in 6 months.
Yeah, and so like on top of just the bans, like there's ancillary bans, like bans that don't actually happen but do happen, like Kethis.
Yeah.
Has been hit with every ban announcement so far, even though it's not been targeted with a ban announcement.
Yeah. So you just have all these cards that are you don't know what cards are going to be good. I think as when you're clearing out your collection going into January, in January and going into the rotation, you can safely get rid of things that have like kind of like big mana costs that don't do something like absurd that like you might get value from if there's a way to like cheat a card in coming into Pioneer. But for the most part, like, the draft rare 5 mana or 5 red stupid enchantment that never does anything. Like that card's safe to get rid of.
Yep.
But it is hard to like look at stuff now. One of the rules I have for when I like clear out, like especially commons and uncommons, is I look at things and I go, does this have a unique effect?
Right.
Even if that effect right now isn't super useful, is it something that is unique? So
yeah, and this is something that we've talked about before in our finance episodes also.
yeah, you just want to keep the stuff that is like lower in mana cost, because as the formats get bigger, the mana costs go down. So high mana cost things usually don't work out well.
Yep.
So like Liliana Dreadhorde General is great, but she costs 6.
Right.
Right. You might be dead by the time you get to 6.
Yeah, and she's also fighting for a spot in a deck with Garrick, which I think is, for the most part, generally seen as a better card. And Garrick isn't going to rotate in September.
Yes. But, like, so there's not a lot of reason to keep Liliana and say, like, oh, she's going to get played in Pioneer. It's like, well, no, she costs 6.
Right.
Right? Like, and, like, the control deck of the format is blue-white.
Right.
Because you have Supreme Verdict. Like, there's not a black analog to, like, bridge you to your 6-mana Planeswalker.
Correct.
And making 1/2/2 is worse than making 3 1/1s.
True.
So, yeah, but just like we haven't seen, we were talking about this before, we haven't seen like, we haven't had a rotation with Pioneer.
Right.
As a format. So
yeah, we don't know how it's going to impact the market. But a lot of our listeners are newish. This may be like the first January that they've gone through. So maybe they don't know that this is the time to liquidate. So I just wanted to get it out there, let everybody know that this is what you should be thinking of in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I usually wait a little longer, so I'm not kind of hamstrung on what decks I can play.
Right.
So I lose a little bit of equity by waiting a little bit.
Yep.
But I usually, this summer is usually when I'm like, I'm going to be limited in what deck I can play because I'm not going to have as many cards. I'm going to try to like guess at like what deck I want to play. And that's going to be the deck I'm going to play. Because I'm going to like make my collection usually when we go to our event in May.
Yeah.
I just take my like standard binder and just go to someone and like
put it in a fat pack box and hand it to them.
Yeah. I want reserve list cards.
Yeah.
Give me reserve list cards for this for this standard crap. And then they usually give me reserve list cards.
Yeah, like this year you turned your standard binder into a Grim Monolith, right?
Yeah, I think I got 3 Grim Monoliths out of my standard stuff.
Yep.
I usually wait to do that.
That's a pretty good segue into the next finance part here.
Yes.
Is all of that money that you're making from liquidating your standard cards, you should dump into high-end cards in the not-so-distant future.
Yes.
There's a couple really odd things that are happening right now that are impacting the market in a big way. Typically, the market this time of year is soft anyway.
Yeah, because, I mean, people have to buy Christmas presents.
Right.
Particularly a lot of people that have the high-end cards are typically older players that might have kids and families, and like they've got to
aunts and uncles and nephews and nieces and
they've
in-laws.
They've got to try to turn their high-end cards into money to do Christmas stuff.
Right. Because of that, the market is usually soft this time of year. On top of that, the like high-end, old-school reserve list stuff has been pretty much nonstop increasing in price for 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
So it's about time for a snapback. And because it's, this time of year, it happened to snap back recently. And because it's this time of year, it's hitting extra hard. I'm not sure if we're quite at the bottom yet, but it's a good time to start thinking about it. And even if we're not at the bottom, we're probably close.
Yeah, if you miss the bottom by $10 or $20, it's not the end of the world.
No, not at all. But because we're near the bottom, there's a potential for money to be made. So it would be a good place to put some of this cash from getting rid of some of your standard stuff.
And even if like you're not making money, just like being able to get these older, particularly reserve list cards.
Yeah.
Just so if you are interested in playing Legacy, this might be the time to pick up a dual land. Yeah,
and not just Legacy, but obviously Legacy. Legacy's a great format, and I encourage anybody and everybody to get out there and buy a Legacy deck if you have the means to. But EDH plays a lot of the same cards as Legacy does. That more and more people are getting more serious about EDH, where they're wanting to put, dual lands and Mox Diamonds and that sort of thing in their EDH decks. So that's a good reason to buy some of this older stuff. Just collectors, people that like the old cards. I like the old cards. I think they're awesome. I don't necessarily play with all of them, but I think they're sweet. I like to collect them. And then for investing, like just trying to make a buck on it, I would really, really implore you all to take a peek at the market and see what's going on right now. The buy list prices, the reason I bring this up is the buy list prices are a good way to kind of gauge what the market's going to do, because a company will make a change in its buy list before it makes a change in what it's selling the card for.
Yeah.
I know dual lands in general are down right now. Buy list price for a revised Bayou is about $160, I think, which is, $50-ish cheaper than it has been recently. One of the ones I mentioned to you before the show today when we were talking about this was Drop of Honey. Buy list for Drop of Honey is $170 right now. That was a $900 card a couple months ago.
Yeah, and you can think about the buy list price as they give you 50 to 60% of what they judge the value to be.
Right.
So if they're buying them for 170, they're judging the value to be 350 to 400.
Right.
Not 1,000.
Right.
Not 900 or whatever.
Not what they've been, certainly.
Yeah. And it makes sense. Part of the Magic Finance thing that I think gets lost on people is cards have no value till you sell them.
Right.
And you can say that a Drop of Honey is $900, but
until you find someone to pay $900 for it, it's not worth $900.
It's not worth $900. It's like Drop of Honey's played in one deck.
That's not even a great deck anymore.
And that deck also has a $1,500 card in it.
And 4 $500 cards in it.
What are those?
The Mox Diamonds.
Are they $500 now?
Well, I mean, not quite, but
okay.
I was making a point.
Yeah. But, to get into that deck, you've got to put $2,500 into 5 cards before you get to needing your Drop of Honey.
That's played in the sideboard.
It's play your $900 sideboard card.
Yeah.
So, there's probably not a huge market for that card. Same with when Moats went from 150 to 600.
Yeah.
Moat's not played anywhere. I've played against a Moat once.
Out of Miracles.
Yeah. And that's it.
So I don't they know, don't run it anymore, so.
I don't know, where the people were that were spending $600 on a Moat.
Yeah.
I guess if you, had your entire Legends collection except for Moat, and you were super jonesing to have a Moat, maybe, but it wasn't like you're like, oh man, I can't play in this Legacy tournament because I don't have a Moat. It does get soft around this time every year, and I think also, with Star City dropping some of its Legacy support, that has scared a lot of people, and I think with all the eyes on Pioneer, I think people are trying to get their money into Pioneer cards.
Yeah, that's another good point. I was actually hanging out at our LGS on Friday before FNM and had a player come in that's new to the area, had played Magic in the past, and was asking when our Modern Night was. And our Modern Night is technically Tuesdays, but since the Pioneer announcement, we haven't played Modern.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a game of Modern played in our local game store since Pioneer was announced. Everybody's playing Pioneer right now. So he had, previously bought into Modern and bought into his deck, and then moved here, had some whatevers, hadn't played for a while, hadn't played since before Pioneer, and was asking about playing Modern, and well, his deck isn't even close to legal for Pioneer, and nobody here plays Pioneer or plays Modern.
Yeah.
So it's, now he's trying to liquidate his Modern deck to buy into Pioneer just so he can play Magic.
And so, I think the Pioneer combined with, Arena, right? A lot of people have had to spend a lot of money to get into
Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is just spreading people pretty thin. So the place that like makes the most sense to take the hit are like the legacy cards.
Right. Stuff that's not going to...
The older cards, because they're not going to see a ton of play.
Right.
And if you just want to play, it makes sense to, well, I'm going to get off of my Bayou, so then I can buy...
A standard deck.
Or I can buy like most of a Pioneer deck.
Yeah.
Because, right, like, getting off of like your legacy deck probably gets you 3 or 4 Pioneer decks.
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I have the whole formats.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, you sell a $700 Volcanic Island and you can probably buy 2 complete Pioneer decks.
Yes. So many Pioneer decks just in my safe. That's what I tell myself. They're just Pioneer decks and waiting. I've like never played like a Volcanic Island in like a serious tournament ever.
I played Grixis Delver in a tournament once.
I mean, I've played like show and tell, like when we used to have Monday Night Modern, but like
not in a big
Legacy.
tournament though.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna drive like 6 hours and like go Volcanic Island Ponder. Like, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
I am good, thanks.
You had an interesting point before we started the podcast about something LSV had said.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
probably relevant. So why don't you?
LSV has been cubing because it's Cubesmith. So he had a video up where he was like, he just records his stream. He like double dips. He like streams and just records it and posts it to YouTube, which most of them do. And he was talking about like supporting the podcast. They're supporting the stream. And he was like, a good way to support the stream is to just buy or sell your cards to Channel Fireball. Like, I helped start Channel Fireball, yada, yada, whatever. So he was saying that, this year has been really tough on local game stores and just physical Magic card retailers in general. He's like, if you look over the past year, like TCG had to lay off a bunch of people.
A lot of people.
Star City Games like cleared out a lot of their content producers.
They couldn't afford to. They were, I don't want to say trimming the fat because they got rid of some great people that, obviously weren't fat, but yeah, they had to make cuts. And
they also changed their whole like website business model. Like now you can't read any articles unless you have a subscription.
Right.
Unless you're paying $5 a month.
Yep.
He said even like Channel Fireball, he's like, things have been tough for us this year. And he was like, we've had to like, let some content producers go. Like they lost Sigrist and PV.
Yep.
And like,
which are huge names. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah. And I think it goes to something I think I talked about before is like, I think Magic in general is moving to more of a casual space.
Yeah.
And so the people that they have brought on in their stead are like Jamie Topples.
Right.
Which like more of a casual draft stream kind of thing. Vince, better known as Pleasant Kenobi, more of a casual, like fun.
Well, thing. Way more of a personality than a pro.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think they've brought more personalities on to appeal to that casual audience. But anyway, he was like, things have been tough this year for physical Magic card sellers.
Right.
So it makes sense that if you were a store, I've been at GPs and I've heard people say like GPDC, not this year, but the year before, a guy was just talking about how smart he was if he's just been buying reserve list cards for the last like 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, if you've been buying reserve list cards for 3 years and now times are tough, you got to get off those reserve list cards because you've got to like pay your rent.
Right.
Right. So if you're not like selling your standard cards because standard is getting played on Arena and hasn't been that great, and you're not selling your modern cards, like you did get a bump because some of your like
in between cards now see playing Pioneer.
But like if you're losing those two, if you lost those 2 markets this year, right, you've got to find some way, and so there might be more cards just in the market. Yeah.
Well, it was also a really tough year for game stores, not just because of that, but because Wizards is moving almost away from supporting game stores. That we got the Secret Lairs. That's their first foray into selling singles to customers, bypassing local game stores.
Mythic editions.
Yeah, like the Mythic editions were the same way. They got rid of MSRP. So now Wizards isn't the bad guy when prices go up. It's the local game store. They don't sell to game stores anymore. You now have to deal with a distributor, which means prices go up because now you're forced to have a middleman. There's just a lot of little things that they're doing that are kind of sticking it to the LGS.
I mean, they do sell direct to Amazon, though.
Right.
Right. So now you can buy your boxes from Amazon.
Right.
It used to be that game stores, like the From the Vaults, and I guess the spell books to some degree, were local game store exclusive things that would typically let game stores like make a healthy profit on something.
Yeah.
And like those products have like gone away or are less popular.
Yeah. Or don't have the value that they used to.
Yeah. So I think that you definitely you may be seeing more high-end cards being sold because people need to get off of their high-end cards. They can't just have...
Right.
They can't have 15 dual lands in their case that they're not going to sell because, hey, I don't have a place to put my case if I don't get $3,000 this month to pay my rent.
Yep.
So I can move these dual lands.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something to be like aware of is there might be, unfortunately, chances for deals where people are... like can't have cards anymore just to have cards.
Right.
So.
Yep. Keep an eye out. Yeah, and if you guys like aren't checking out Holiday Cube, you are doing yourself a great disservice.
If you can't watch Twitch, for whatever reason, like it just doesn't line up, Luis Scott Vargas posts most of his cube drafts on YouTube. He is probably one of the better cube people to watch.
Yeah.
Numut the Nummy does the same thing. He posts most of his cube drafts, and he uses automatic editing software.
Okay.
So whenever there's like a lull where he's not saying anything or not much is happening on the screen, it automatically edits it down till there's something going on.
That's kind of cool.
So it doesn't mess up with you watching the game,
but
it takes a video that might otherwise be 2 hours and makes it like an hour and a half. It's like someone just like hit like jump ahead 10 seconds anytime there was like dead time.
That's pretty
cool.
So
it makes them go a lot faster.
Yeah. Why don't you explain Holiday Cube real quick?
So Holiday Cube. So a cube is a curated set of cards that you draft with. It's singleton. Cubes are typically 360 or 540 cards. And you draft them just like you would draft any other draft. You get 3 packs of 15 cards. But each card is, again, there's no duplicates.
Right.
And there are specific archetypes
built
into the cube. So when you draft a cube, you're not trying to draft the best deck. You're trying to build effectively like a constructed deck. You start drafting and you see like, oh, I got 3 mana dorks in my first 4 picks.
Yeah.
I should maybe be mono green,
Build a ramp deck.
And that's very specifically mana creatures and then big finishers.
Yeah.
Or you get like a 4th pick Sulfuric Vortex, which is 1 red for an enchantment that deals 2 to a player on their upkeep. And you're like, oh man, Sulfuric Vortex, mono red must be open.
Right.
And then you try to draft mono red.
Yep.
Or there's an archetype called Storm that wants you to cast a bunch of spells.
Yep.
And it's fun. It's solving a puzzle, but it's also god awful. It like has a really low win rate, but it's really fun to do, and I think it's fun to watch.
It's a lot of fun to watch.
LSV is notorious for forcing Storm and like winning with Storm decks that have no like actual win cons. I once watched him win a Storm draft where his win con was bouncing Siege Gang Commander with infinite mana and then throwing goblins.
Throwing the goblins.
But you're drafting these archetypes. There's a bunch of different archetypes, and you're trying to somewhere in the first pack find your lane and then build your deck.
Yeah, a cube typically has some sort of stipulation or theme, whether it's a pauper cube that's all commons, a peasant cube that's commons and uncommons, a cube from a specific block or blocks, a cube from a specific time period, or like this one is a power cube.
Yeah, so it has the power 9, and it has a bunch of mana rocks in it. And the mana rocks allow you to do big splashy things.
Yep.
So it has a lot of... So the games can be interesting and long, but they also can just end kind of abruptly because you do something
absurdly
super cool.
Powerful. Yeah.
You go like turn 1, you're like land, Soul Ring, Black Lotus, Tinker, get Blightsteel Colossus.
Yep.
Which is an 11/11 indestructible that has infect.
Yeah, it just ends the game.
And if they get hit with it, they die. And so it's like you have one turn to answer this, right? Or, so you can have these really cool big things that you would never get to do like in normal Magic now.
Yep.
And then you just get to play with these old neat cards and have all these like kind of neat niche interactions.
Yep. It's a lot of fun to watch. And like I said, if you haven't seen it, I strongly recommend you check out some of those videos on YouTube or Twitch or whatever. So
there's, I think, Numatanami, LSV are kind of the two best to watch. Gabby Sparks is a streamer who is like super like friendly and like
she's bubbly.
Yes, and she is a pretty good cube drafter. She has LSV on her stream a lot. She'll actually like the streams will be like drafting with LSV.
Yeah.
So you kind of get like that like pair.
Yep.
If you watch streams, like I haven't watched Caleb D in a while because sometimes he rubs me the wrong way.
I like Caleb D. I've been watching a lot of his lately.
But Caleb, sometimes he comes off as a little aggro to his like chat. Sometimes when they're like dumb, he's just like, "You guys are dumb." He's also like a really good cube drafter. He's typically among the leaders in trophies for a cube, like just going 3-0.
Yeah,
like he very much drafts decks to try to trophy. Numa will sometimes, but it'll also be like, oh, this looks fun.
Yeah.
I want to do this fun thing.
And LSV always just does the fun thing.
Yeah, but he's also better than most people, so he like still 3-0.
Yeah.
So anyway, speaking of not playing paper Magic.
Yeah.
Arena. So I, again, as we've talked about, I'm kind of off standard.
Yep.
But we have some people that are not. So again, was it James and Ken did the bulk of the work?
Thanks, guys. You're the best.
Yeah, they're doing the Lord's work here. I'll be back for Theros. Yeah, so yeah. Oh, and Jason K. I don't know Jason. Jason's a new one here.
All right.
I think he's been messaging us.
Okay.
All right, so we got Jason, Ken, and then down here in gold with me. I did one line. Thank you, Jamie G. So they got 47 matches in.
Wow, nice job.
Across everything. And I'll send this out hopefully today. I'm traveling tomorrow. I'm being with the in-laws, so we'll see how it goes. But again, a huge chunk of off meta, almost half.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're pretty like dialed into what the meta game is in the sheet.
Yeah, but you're still seeing randomness.
Yeah, Ken mentioned he was like, I think people are just off it and just playing random stuff. He's like, I just see nothing but jank.
Yep.
And this usually happens at the end of a format.
It does.
Especially when there's like nothing to really play for. There aren't any, at least around here, there aren't any PTQs.
Right. They've already happened.
So you're not trying to practice a deck. The last GP is happening literally today. Fun fact, Plains is unplayable in this format.
It was another super small GP too, right?
It was right around 500. 100 people made day 2.
Man.
Again, people cashed that didn't make day 2.
Yeah.
But so the most played deck that we had was a tie for Jeskai Fires and Green Black or Jund Sacrifice.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. And then Simic or Bant Ramp was next.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. But I think, again, like I said, this happens at the end of almost every format. The format, usually in the last, 3 or 4 weeks to a month, new archetypes will pop up.
Yeah.
As people, just kind of start doing random things.
Yep.
And those random things allow, other decks to kind of bubble to the top. Or they're, doing, something odd that you wouldn't normally try.
Yeah.
The first month of a format, but in the last month of a format, you're whatever.
Yeah, why not?
I think towards the end of I forget what standard season it was. I was playing Elder Deep Fiend. There was the mono blue prison deck.
Yeah.
That wasn't a thing, but in the last month, it just was all the rage because it was kind of fun and splashy and didn't matter. You're just that's the end. Whatever, I'll do this.
Right.
So this is normal.
Ish. Yeah.
We were talking at the store hey, when's the last time we've had a really good format? Do we remember what good formats are? And I found one.
Yeah.
Historic Artisan is the peasant format, the commons and uncommon historic cards.
Yeah.
It's great. Like, you don't get, like, if you don't answer a 1-drop,
the
game
lose.
Doesn't end. You're not getting ember cleaved and, like, games ending. People aren't, like, playing turn 3 Nisses, and you're like, oh, if they untap, it just ends. Right? You don't have any of that pressure of, like, if I don't specifically have the right answer, I just no longer get to participate. It's great. I tweeted out, I played mono red. And then I played Drakes. I played blue-red Drakes, basically the standard deck from last...
just no Niv.
No Niv is like the big thing. Since it's like one of those events, it's just best of one. No need for a sideboard.
Right.
And yeah, so like Niv's the big miss, but...
I mean, the deck was only playing like 2 Nivs anyway.
And you have a Terramander to kind of like... I'm playing 4 Terramanders to kind of fill that like I need an extra threat space. I mean, it's pretty good. In the format itself, like, there's a lot of diversity. Like, there is definitely, like, the best control deck is, like, blue-black disinformation campaign miserableness.
Oh, yeah. I bet you Knights is pretty good in this format.
I've not seen anyone play Knights.
Because you get the Dominaria Knights.
Yeah. I have seen, like, I played against the black-white life gain deck with Soul Warden, the 1-drop lean-in guy that if you have 3 creatures, you gain a life and it gets +1/+1. And then Bloodthirsty Aerialist and a Johnny's Pride Mate.
Yeah, that seems pretty good.
And you just, like, make giant things. But there's definitely a diversity in things you can do. And, again...
I wonder if that's what I played. I bet you it is. I've been playing the, like, standard events, trying to bank up gold for when Theros comes out, so I don't have to pay anything. And I played a game against, like, a Bloodthirsty Aerialist deck. And I wonder if it was just somebody clicked the wrong button.
Maybe.
Because I don't think there were any rares in it.
Maybe they just...
Maybe they were meant to play that and play a standard event instead. I thought it was really weird.
They just didn't have any historic cards in it. I mean, I've played against that deck in and just in like the play queue.
Have you?
I've played against that. It's a fun format. I think the thing that I just enjoy is it doesn't have that snowball effect.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you're just not like every time like, oh man.
You actually get to play a game.
You actually get to play games and like you can like look at a board and like make a plan. And for the last, few months, it's just been like you look at the board and you're like, well, if they do one of 4 things, I guess I just die.
Yeah.
Or it's like, oh, well, I did my thing, so I guess they just die.
Right.
It's like, oh, I went fires into Sphinx, into Red Cavalier, Blue Cavalier, attack you for 22.
Yeah. Good game.
Did you have fun? I enjoyed myself. So I think that these events, like the artisan events or just like the common uncommon things, they like kind of fill a space. It's like between draft and like standard, where you still have that constructed, like you have a deck with a plan.
Yeah.
But you don't have those super powerful like snowbally cards. Like I had someone play Trail of Crumbs. They didn't do a whole lot with it, but like you can still have like a sacrifice deck. I guess they banned Cat, so Cat's banned in that format. So did they
ban Oven? Because you could almost still have a deck.
You probably could. They banned Cat. They banned Cavalcade of Calamities.
Okay. And
I forget the other thing they
banned.
But
you've still got Corpse Knight, Cruel Celebrant. Like you still have Aristocrats pieces. Yeah, no,
I played against an Aristocrats deck.
Yeah.
I think these formats are a good palate cleanser, and especially with standard being kind of at the end. So.
Nope, I agree.
And I think that was the main arena thing. I don't know if there's any other arena news recently.
Not really. Hop on our social media if you want to get some friends for your friends list.
Yeah, I have a few friends.
Yep, feel free to challenge us to a game if you see us on.
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
Yeah.
Like, I think when you challenge someone, just the little icon in the bottom corner kind of glows orange.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, there's not, like, I don't think there's a dialogue window that pops up that says you've been challenged if you're, like, in a match.
Okay.
So, like, if we're in a match, it's not like we're ignoring you.
Right.
And on your end, it doesn't tell you when you challenge. It doesn't say, like, oh, they're in a match.
Oh, okay.
So it just leaves it there counting.
Yeah.
Waiting for them to like interact. So when I challenged Anthony, I ended up having to text him and go like, I'm challenging you, fool. And he's like, I'm in a match. I'll get there in a second. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it is
a little awkward.
They still need to like work out some stuff, but at least you don't have to have like everyone's like name and like number memorized.
Well, that's good.
Hopefully one day they'll put some sort of like functionality where you can like communicate.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Even if they just limited it to like friends only, so you didn't have the like the Magic Online thing where you're like people are just like horrific.
Right.
That'd be better, so you could just be like, hey, I'm challenging you. I'm in a match. Give me a second.
Like, it would also make it easier for like third-party tournaments, right?
Yeah.
I believe I read in one of the State of the Games that they liked the idea of third-party tournaments on Arena. They liked the idea of like the Red Bull thing or the Twitch thing that they do.
Yeah, Twitch Rivals.
And that would almost make it easier if you could just add everybody in the tournament to your friends list and just click to play a match. You know what I mean? That
would make it way, way, way easier. Because right now, for the like Arena Mythic Championships, you have to type in the name and the whole string of numbers to do a direct challenge. Yeah. So it's kind of Also, it is a way that like if you like Brawl, it is you can play Brawl through direct challenge. So if you can find a few people that on your friends list that play Brawl, you can kind of avoid the only Brawl on Wednesdays, only.
I did play Brawl on Wednesday. Yeah. So if any of you guys want to play Brawl, let me know.
Yeah, like I played Brawl on Wednesday too, like Golos into Giant Planeswalkers. Yes, please. Ramp into Golos.
I'll give you 2 guesses who my Brawl commander was.
Corvold.
Of course it was Corvold.
We are old, but earlier this year when I was streaming with the aforementioned Anthony, I was guesting on his stream, I have a Discord server. Do I know how to like give you a link to it? No. Will I figure it out at some point? Yes. But like I have a Discord server for the podcast. Okay. So at some point I've got a lot planned in this like break after I will figure out how to like have a link to the Discord server, and maybe we can do something where then if you want to challenge someone, you can just hop on Discord and like find someone who's actually like live and playing.
Cool.
It's like Discord just like runs in the background for me. But yeah, I don't know all the ins and outs. I need to get one of our the youngsters in our circle to show me the ins and outs, because Anthony has it figured out. I need to just like have him like coach me up. Yeah, we'll make this thing legit eventually.
We're getting there. Baby steps.
Yeah. So I think with that, I think we're pretty much done.
I think that'll put a bow on it.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. Enjoy your holiday. I'm hoping to get this out on Christmas or right after.
Okay. Make sure you hop in and put in your questions for our Q&A episode next week.
And with that, you can tweet those questions at us at Casual Tripod.
Yep. You can send them to us on Facebook at Casual Tryhard MTG. You can email them to us at show@casualtryhardmtg.com. And make sure if you're wanting to, pick up any of the aforementioned cards that are super cheap right now, you use our affiliate link, tcg.casualtryhardmtg.com.
Yeah. May Santa bring you all the cards you wanted.
All of them. We'll catch you guys at F&M.